Ellie.
Yes. Hey, do you hear me?
Yes. Good evening, everybody.
Good evening, sir.
Yes, sir. Good evening, sir.
Yes, good evening.
Sir,
Yes,
good
sir.
evening, sir.
Yes,
Good evening, sir.
yes, good evening. Thank you very much for joining.
Yes, sir.
I was not actually planning to have the class, but I discovered that if I should procrastinate to tomorrow, it will not be fine. So, because it's been a busy week, so but I decided that let me come up, no matter how little we can do, it will add up rather than just
Good evening,
saying
sir.
we are not having the class. So
Good evening, sir.
Good
yes,
evening, sir.
good evening. Thank you very much. We started already. I'm already live. I will not want much distraction. So um, so I discovered that instead of saying let me wait till tomorrow, I was not actually planning to have the class. That is why you didn't see the link on time. I just have a second thought that no matter how little we can do, it's still part of it. So, without much ado, I will delve into the business of today. I've forwarded some questions um, yesterday morning to the platform. The expectation, my expectation from you people is that you study the questions and so that when you come to the platform to solve, we'll have we'll navigate smoothly. So that is the essence of sending those questions. You write them in your notes, you look at them over and over again, and you point out gray areas. And so when we come, as the tutor explained, you have good understanding. But when you just wait for link and not study the question before the class, it will not be good. So this evening, we're talking about advanced variance analysis. There are quite a number of questions on basic variance in the ICANN study pack. It is my expectation that you should have been looking at those questions now and be asking one or two questions, sending questions on WhatsApp that you find this difficult in one area or the other. So, but by the time I'm through with all the topics that I have to take, I will come up with past questions and we'll solve together on each topic that I'll be taking you people because I think if you should take counts now, I think we've covered like 5 topics, if I'm not mistaken. I think I'm beginning to wind up gradually. Yes, if you are just joining us, you need to go back and see where we started from. Yes, after this topic, we'll be looking at risk and uncertainty. Then we'll look at learning curve. Then I'll see one theoretical topic we're going to talk about again. Then we'll see how we move ahead. So to talk about advanced variance, advanced variance analysis goes beyond basic cost variance calculations and it delves deeper into the reasons behind deviations from expected performance. That is, it provides more actionable insights for decision making and performance improvement. So the key areas of advanced variance include sales variance analysis. Please, you can take down notes on what I'll be saying. You won't see them in my slide. So the key areas of advanced variance analysis include the sales variance analysis. And when we talk about sales variance analysis, we'll be talking about the sales volume variance and the sales price variance, the sales volume variance, and the sales price variance. So talking about the sales volume variance, the sales volume variance, it's simply the actual units sold less budgeted units multiplied by budgeted selling price. That is the sales volume variance, the actual units sold less the budgeted units multiplied by the budgeted selling price. That is the sales volume variance. That is just a simple formula to derive that. While the sales price variance is actual selling price less budgeted selling price multiplied by the actual units sold. I'm just trying to do a quick talk on these key areas before I talk to my slide. And still on advanced variance analysis, we have what we call the cost variance analysis. The cost variance analysis. The cost variance analysis entails material variances, labor variances, overhead variances. So we've talked about this in our previous class as part of the basic variance. We said material price variance is standard price less actual price multiplied by actual quantity, while material usage variance is standard quantity less actual quantity multiplied by standard price. We also talk about the labor rate variance as standard rate less actual rates multiplied by actual hours. We talked about the labor efficiency variance, where we say it is standard hours less actual hours multiplied by standard rate. We also have overhead variance. We have fixed overhead variance, and fixed overhead variance, you can look at volume variance, spending variance. We also have variable overhead variance, in which we can also talk about the efficiency and spending variance. Now, the core part of advanced variance analysis is talking about the mix and yield variance. The mix and yield variance. And when we talk about the mix and yield variance, we'll also be looking at the material mix variance and the material yield variance. When we talk about mix, talking about proportion, mix means ratio, means the ratio of this material to this other material. We're trying to produce a product. There are various components of material you put together to have a finished goods. So when you want to see the mix of those materials, you want to see the variation, you have a standard mix, and you have actual mix. Now, the variation between the actual mix and the standard mix will give you the material mix variance. Why yield variance is in relation to output, is in relation to output. About the material mix variance. Material mix variance measures the impact of using a different proportion of materials than planned in production process. Take note of this word again, that material mix variance is a very tricky concept, so that when we start solving, we won't have drawbacks. That's why is this so, why is this not so. So take note of, you must understand the literature for you to be able to analyze questions on advanced variance. So you can't just skip the literature part, the reading part, and try to solve questions. So that is why it is very good you go back to your ICANN study pack, you read those literatures on advanced variance, then you can now proceed to solve questions. So it is not a kind of magic things where you look at the question and think you can use mathematics knowledge on a plain ground to solve. No, you must understand the basis, that is reading the reasons behind some of these things that we'll be looking at. So it is very important. It's very important you read the literatures. Yes. So material mix variance, I said, it measures the impact of using a different proportion of materials than planned in a production process. So it helps assess whether cost changes are due to using more expensive or cheaper materials in the mix. So in simple terms, to get material mix variance, it is actual quantity of each material less revised standard quantity. Take note of that word, revised standard quantity. In some literatures, in some textbooks, they will not use the word revised. So the revised is a function of the mix standard quantity in relation to the actual quantity used. We'll get to look at a simple illustration regarding that. But in simple terms, material mix variance is actual quantity of each material less revised standard quantity multiplied by standard price. Now, when we talk about the revised standard quantity, it is total actual quantity multiplied by what? Standard proportion of each material. The proportion means the ratio of material A against the actual of material A, the ratio of material B, that is the standard of material B, that is the proportion in relation to the actual of material B. So we'll see a practical illustration to so that you can appreciate this better. So the standard price is predetermined cost per unit of material. Also, we have the case of favorable and unfavorable when trying to interpret the results. If a cheaper material is used more than expensive ones and you have a favorable result, it is termed favorable variance. On the other hand, if more expensive materials are used more than planned, it is unfavorable. It is unfavorable. So when we talk about yield variance now, material yield variance, it means the combination of those materials. What output did they result to? So material yield variance measures the efficiency of material usage in producing the expected output. It indicates whether the actual output deviates from the expected output given the material used. So we have a formula for that likewise, but though I like presenting my solutions in table when it comes to this, but it still follow the formula likewise. The material yield variance is actual yield less standard yield for actual input. See the interpretation. Actual yield less standard yield for actual input. It means the actual input in relation to the standard yield. What is the result? Is there any deviation between that and the actual yield? It is actual yield less standard yield for actual inputs multiplied by standard cost per unit. So the actual yield is the actual finished goods produced. The standard yield for actual input is expected output based on actual raw material used. And the standard cost per unit is the total standard cost of materials per unit of output. So also you can have it in terms of favorable or unfavorable. So in simple terms, the key difference between the mix variance and yield variance, the mix variance, it focuses on proportion of material used. Take note, mix variance focus on proportion of material used. So the question is, did we use different material proportion than planned? While yield variance, it focuses on total material efficiency. Now the question is, did we get the expected output from the materials used? You can see the key difference between mix variance and yield variance. So very fast, let me speak to my slide now. Let me speak to my slide. Now, from my slide, I said advanced variance analysis is an extension of traditional variance. An extension of traditional variance analysis used in managerial accounting, while traditional variance analysis typically focuses on comparing actual results to budgeted or standard figures. to identify variances. Advanced variance analysis incorporates additional tools and techniques to gain deeper insights into the causes and implications of these variances. So it allows organizations to perform more detailed and comprehensive analysis of their financial and operational performance. This is advanced variance. So the focus of this class will be on material mix and yield variance, labor mix and yield variance, operational and planning variance. If you look at the various questions I sent to the WhatsApp group, they entails each of these scenarios of material mix, yield variance, operational and planning variance. But we won't be able to solve the whole questions tonight. We'll just solve two questions. And talking about material mix variance, this measures the difference between the actual mix of material used, and the expected or standard mix of materials, considering both the quantity and cost of each material. So the primary purpose of analyzing material mix variance is to understand how changes in the composition of materials impact overall material cost. The interpretation is that if the material mix variance is favorable, it means that a more cost-effective mix of material was used in proportion in the production compared to the standard mix. So that is, this could be due to using cheaper materials or a more efficient combination. So if the material mix variance is adverse, it indicates that a less cost-effective mix of material was used compared to the standard mix. And this might be caused by using more expensive materials or an efficient combination. So very quickly, we'll take this example. Can somebody quickly read this?
Okay. In
In
one
one,
process, the standard material mix is as follows: 10 tons of material A, 30 tons of material B, 60 tons of material C. Thus, the average material cost per ton of standard mix is 39 naira per ton. In January, it was discovered that the following mix had been used: 12 tons of material A, 22 tons of material B, 66 tons of material C. What is the mix variance?
All right, thank you very much. So this is just a simple question. Now, when we talk about mix, let me further explain what mix is all about. Mix in variance analysis. So in variance analysis, mix refers to proportion of different components used in production or sales compared to the standard or planned proportion. So mix variance occurs when the actual mix deviates from the standard mix, affecting costs and profitability. So is proportion. Mix is proportion of materials, and it can be in terms of ratio of one material to the other. So in this question, that in one process, the standard material mix is as follows. We have the standard that have been set, but in January, it was discovered that the following mix had been used. One thing with material mix variance, the more of one material used, the less of the other that will be used. So if you use more of sugar, means you use less of salt. So now, the actual in January, for material A, we have 12 tons. For material B, we have 22 tons. For material C, 66 tons, still resulting into 100 tons in total. While the standard is up there for material A, 10 tons, material B, 30 tons, and material C, 60 tons.
Sorry, sir, we cannot see your screen. No.
I can see it. Oh.
I can see it. Oh.
Is your network?
I can see the screen.
All right, thank you. So the question is, what is the mix variance? The mix variance is for you to determine what the standard mix is. Then you compare with the actual mix. Then you multiply by the standard price. I gave this formula at the beginning of the class, though I was just um, saying it without showing it on my screen because I don't have it on my slide. But I asked us to put it down. So we're quickly going to solve this question. We're going to solve this and one other one. This is one of the questions I sent to the platform. So it's very simple. If this is not your first time of doing PM, you should have attempted it. So I'm going to use a table, but you can use your formula direct, but to make it more clearer, I'll use a table to explain it. So solution, we have three types of material. We have material A, we have material B, and we have material C. So also the standard mix for material A is what? On the question, it's 10 tons. Standard mix for material A is 10 tons. For material B is what? It's 30 tons. And for material C,
60 tons.
actual mix for material A is 12.
That's 12.
It's 22.
And that's 66.
So the difference is what?
2.
2 for A,
286.
286. So we need to ask ourselves, are they favorable or adverse? This actual is greater than standard. This should be adverse.
Adverse.
This should
Adverse.
be favorable,
Favorable. B.
and this should be what?
Adverse.
Adverse.
So the
Sir,
standard
I
price,
can't really. I can see it now. Thank you.
standard price for each of these products are what? The standard price.
30,
30, 20,
50.
20,
50.
and 50.
So in value now, the variance in value will be what?
60.
Excuse me, sir.
I'm with you, sir.
Yes, sir. Please, this is my first time of joining the class. But there is a question I want to ask. Now, the differences between the standard means and that of the actual means, we're having for A, for material A, we're having 10 minus 12. Why is it not written as minus 2? Why is it written as 2? That is my question, please.
Now.
You
All
say?
right. Okay.
Allow the lecturer to answer now.
It's not that clear to me. That is why I'm asking, please.
All right. This is it, sir. The fact that you recognize that it is negative, right? Yes. Instead of putting a negative sign, we recognize it as being adverse.
Okay.
Yes. Another interpretation of that, if that you've watched the previous classes, when your budget is less than your actual, it means you've spent more.
Okay.
So to you, is not favorable because your plan was to use 10,000 tones, 10 tones rather, but you ended up using 12 tones. It means something is wrong somewhere. It means it's either uh, the material are not good enough, they are not up to the standard set, or there was wastage in the course of that process. So it means that you spent more. So that is why it is negative, it is adverse, and that is why we are using A to represent negative instead of,
Advance. Okay.
and when it is favorable, which is positive, you use F, or you write it in full.
Okay.
Understand?
Thank you,
Yes.
sir. Thank you.
So variance in value for material A will be what?
60.
Will be 60A, and for B to be what?
160 favorable.
160.
160 favorable, and for C it's
300 adverse.
300.
Yes.
300 adverse. So in total now, the
200.
material mix variance will be what?
200 adults.
So 200 adverse. 200 adverse. So this is just basic. This is too elementary for somebody that wants to write the ICANN professional exams. But it is good you have the knowledge. But don't be surprised, they can still test, and most people will not still perform well in this. So this is just a tip. Let's go to, this is just this is make. Let's go to the boom. Yes. There's the other question. There's the other question. Yes, can somebody read this now?
The safe soap. The safe soap co. makes environmentally friendly soap using three basic ingredients. The standard cost for one batch of soap for the month of September was as follows. Material kilograms, price per kilogram, like coconut oil, shea butter. The budgeted batches for production and sales in September was 120,000 batches. Actual production and sales were 136,000 batches. The actual ingredients used were as follows. Materials like coconut oil, shea butter, they are in kilograms. Required: calculate the total material mix variance and the total material yield variance for September.
All right, thank you very much. So the questions look so short, but you need to take critical look at it, that and see what is expected of you. You can see that the standard, you are giving the materials in kilogram per batch. Take note, the standard, it's per batch. The kilograms is based on per batch, while the actual, you're giving the material, the, the material for lye, not for shea butter, not based on per batch now, but based on the total batches produced. Now, the actual production and sales were 136,000 batches. The actual ingredients used were as follows. They're given to you in full, not based on per batch, unlike the standard. So there's something you need to do. There's something you need to do. Let's show the workings. Let's show the workings and see what we can do. Everybody have the question. So solution. Let's see. Variance calculation. So the mix variance. Mix variance. Now, What is the total kg of materials per standard batch? Total kg of material per standard batch from the question.
1.35.
Okay, 1.35.
Calculator.
So how do we get that? Let me
0.
write it. Is equal to
0.5 times 1.
mixed variance total kg of materials a standard batch. Take note of that word per. When you're reading ICANN questions, always take note of the nouns and the adjective. When you can interpret and identify the nouns and the adjective, the verbs, it will help you to analyze and be able to pass. But when you just read like a layman, the questions will look confusing, and you begin to set questions for yourself and be telling the examiner that the question is wrong. So when you read questions, you read with good understanding, identifying the various parts of the speech in the question. Yes, so total kg of material per standard batch, we have 0.25 plus 0.6 plus 0.5. We have it as 1.35 kg. You know, the standard is given to us based on one batch, while the actual is given to us based on the overall batches produced. Take notes. I know I'm emphasizing this so that when we get to a point, there won't be too much drawback and why is it so? So now, what is the standard quantity produced? Standard quantity to produce 136,000 batches. Let me write my question. What is the standard quantity you need? Okay, let me put that. To produce, standard quantity to produce, the actual batches produced is what?
120 versus.
No,
136.
No,
136.
136.
136.
So 136. Take notes. I know I'm
136.
asking these questions. I know I'm asking this question so that when we get to that point, you won't be asking why is it so. So, what is the standard quantity to produce 136,000 batches? So, what is the standard quantity? How are we going to determine the standard quantity now?
1.35 times 150,000.
Okay, very good. So it will be 136,000 batches. Let me calm down now. It will be equal to 136 multiplied by 1.35 kg. So we have it as what? 183,600 kg. I believe we are getting it.
Sir, excuse me. Excuse me, sir. Excuse me, sir.
Please, I want to ask a question.
Please ask.
Okay, so my question is, based on this, you wrote, what is the standard quantity to produce? You wrote here 136 badges, but on the question, they said that actual production and sales were 136 badges.
The interpretation of this question is the actual batches produced. What is the standard quantity that you will need to produce the 136,000 batches? if you have gone by the standard. That is the interpretation of this statement, that the actual quantity that you produce, the actual batches, in relation to standard, what will be the standard quantity of material that you would have used? Let me go back to the question and show you something. Now, let me ask you, what is the total actual quantity used to produce 136,000 batches? The total actual kilograms of material used to produce 136,000 batches. The actual, what is it? It is
1.35 kg.
the total actual use to produce 136,000 batches is 34,080 plus
83 to 32 plus 64,200.
yes. Yes, that is the total actual material that you will use to produce 136,000 batches. Now, take note, even from the basic variance, from the one we treated last week, whenever you want to get anything standard, it will always be in relation to the actual. This is a key concept you must know. Once you have actual, what is the effect of standard on that actual result? So the question put forth here is, what is the standard quantity required? Let me add flavor to it. What is the standard quantity required to produce 136,000 batches, which is the actual batch produced? So in relation to standard, what will be the total standard materials? Because we have the standard materials per batch as given above here, 0.25, 0.6, 0.5, in total 1.35. So when you link these to the actual batches of 136,000 batches, the total material you will need will be 183,600 kg of material. So for you to be able to understand this, you must have a good understanding of the basic variance. You must be able to interpret that simple one we did last week on your own before moving to this point. If you not have that basic understanding, please go back and spend time with it. Yes, the record will always be on YouTube for this, because this is a little bit advanced. So if you know you've not done justice to that last week class, go back and do it. Then you'll be fine with this.
Excuse me, sir.
All right.
Please, sir. I want that, because something has been confusing me. I was thinking that this budgeted batch is the standard batch for this particular stuff. Why the actual is 136?
Yes.
But the standard comes before the actual, right?
Yes. Because
now from the question, the budgeted batch is 120,000. That is what they initially budgeted, and what they spent was 136. So you saying that 136 is the standard cost, which is the budgeted cost, is what is conflicting here for me.
I didn't say 136 is the budgeted. I said 136 batches is the actual batch that was produced. Now, what is the effect of one standard batch of material on the actual batch that was produced? That is why we're saying the standard material per batch is 1.35. the relationship between the standard and the actual batch produced is what? 136,000 multiplied by 1.35 kg will give you the effect of the standard material per batch on the actual material or the actual batches produced. And that is why we're going to have 183,600 kg. Please take note. The question is, what is the standard quantity required to produce? Let me still add something again. Let me add a storyline. Let me add one more word. What is the standard quantity required to produce okay, let me do it this way. To produce 136,000 batches which is the actual. Hope this is clear now.
Sir.
So now the actual, let's still write one more story. The actual total kg
181
of materials used to produce 136,000 batches
Yes.
is equal to what? 34
181
is equal to 34.
185. Okay.
Yes, I don't just want to write the total
Okay,
because
sir.
somebody will ask me, how do we get that? So let me put it down clearly.
3232.
Sir, please, I'm not seeing your screen again. No. You only
Please, if you can't
presenting.
see it,
you can see it.
Madam,
You can
is your
see
network?
it. It's your network.
please, if you can't see my screen, stop saying you can't see my screen. Just check your network. This video is being recorded. Most times I don't like it when it is being rowdy, and just gently check your network. And if it is my network, if I'm using normal phone network, I will tell you it is my own. I'm not using normal hotspot to my system. So if my network is having issues, I know where it's coming from. So please, anytime your screen is having issue, just don't tell us your screen is having issue. Let's go and check it. Yes, so this is it, please. Let's move to the main business. We want to get the material mix variance. So what are we going to do? Anybody to help me out, please? We want to get the material mix variance. Any help? Try. You're the one writing these exams.
Okay, you compare the reverse standard quantity with the actual quantity and then the selling price.
Okay, very good, yes. So the revised quantity will be in relation to what? The revised standard quantity is in relation to what?
The actual
The actual
quantity.
quantity.
Okay, very good. Yes. I'll be asking this question because the understanding from you matters. Yes, rather than somebody just
Sorry,
always.
sir. Please, why are you calling it revised standard quantity? Do you revise the standard quantity?
Yes. Okay, let me give it another name. It is revised because we are trying to see the actual material used in relation to the standard proportion. To the standard proportion. So to me, I will say it is actual quantity at standard mix. Actual quantity at standard mix instead of using the word revised. Do you understand?
Okay,
Though
sir.
I actually mentioned the word revised in my explanation, but if you understand it that way, it's fine.
Okay. It's because it's based on the actual production now. That's why we are calling it
Yes,
revised. Okay,
yes.
thank you, sir.
Hello, excuse me, sir.
So material,
Excuse me, sir.
I'm with you, please.
Yes, sir. As regards that reverse quantity, can we say standard means of actual quantity? Is it good that way?
Sorry, your network is having some glitch.
Wow. I'm talking about the reverse quantity. Can we say as a standard means of actual quantity? Can you hear me, sir?
No, your network is breaking, sir.
So to
You can send
yeah,
you can send a message to the message of this thing. So we have three types of material like coconut, shea butter. Now, what will be the actual quantity?
181,512.
Actual quantity at standard mix. At standard mix. For lye, what would that be? The actual quantity of material used is what? 181
512.
512. Now, in relation to standard mix, it will be what? Multiply by 0.25 divided by what? 1.35. This is actual quantity at what? At standard. Actual quantity at standard mix for lye. This is how you get it. So when you simplify this, it will be what? When you simplify this, it will be what?
33,613.33.
33, 613 points.
613.33.
Let's go further now. Now, the actual, I'll just do that particular for lye. Then I'll expect you to do for coconut and shea butter. So actual quantity at actual mix. So what is the actual quantity at actual mix in kg? Let's put it in kg. The actual quantity at actual mix is what?
Actual quantity
At actual mix for
That
lye.
is 34.
That should be
34084.
18512 kg
It's
multiplied by
3408. It's clearly given in the question. Actual. This is it. This is the actual materials used. actual quantity at actual mix. So this is it. It's you just pick the figure directly, except you want to work in another way. This is mathematics. You can derive it in another way. It's fine. Yes.
Hello, sir.
So
Hello,
yes,
sir, please. So I just want to understand this. This material mix variance, are we doing like this actual quantity standard mix at kg? Are we doing like apportionment, like how
yes,
we used to do ABC? Is it what you are doing here? Because I'm seeing 181,512 times. Okay. So we are trying to get the portion of each one
yes,
from
ma'am.
that 1.35. Okay, thank you,
Yes.
sir.
Sir, please, how do we get 181, please?
Ma, look at this. Actual total kg of material used to produce 136,000 batches. When you add the actual 34,080, 83232, 64200, do you see?
Yes, sir, thank you.
I just have few minutes because this is my class. It's 1 hour. So I said instead of procrastinating, don't let me procrastinate. Let me kill procrastination and just have 1 hour class. So variance per kg. Now, what is the variance? The difference between 33613.33 and 34,080. It's what?
Come again, sir.
The difference between the actual quantity.
That's 466.67.
Yes. So is
Yes,
it
so is
variance
it
or
variance or
adverse?
adverse?
Adverse, Umaje.
It's
It's
an adverse.
adverse.
It's an adverse.
Adverse, Umaje.
So the standard cost is what?
Minus 466.67.
So now the standard cost here is what? It's 10. Is in the question. See it. Standard cost for like 10.
It's 10 naira per kilogram.
So the variance in value now will be what?
4,667.
4,666.7.
So can you quickly solve for coconut and shea butter? Solve in your book. Write this. Write this in your book. Don't procrastinate. Write it and solve. Write it. When you don't write, when you get to the hall, you'll be finding it difficult to write because you are not used to writing.
Sir, can I ask a question, sir?
You can answer.
This variance that we got 4.66.7, how do I arrive at it, sir?
Please go to the question.
Let me show the workings here. Let me show it so that somebody will not ask me. 33613.33 minus 34,080. When you do that, you're going to have 4666. Do you get that?
Yes, sir.
So, but since you've gotten it, please let me delete it. Somebody will think you will multiply.
Okay.
Yes.
Ife? Ife?
Kò
Please
bọ́gà
mute
sọ̀rọ̀.
yourself. Mute yourself.
Ó tún pèsè. Hello. Sorry,
Elisa, can
sir.
you put
I want
present the
for
calculation and let us copy so that we check the rest?
Please can you mute it? Can you mute?
And don't, the thing is so Gary.
Elisa, please can you present the calculation so that we can see what we are calculating?
Sir, for coconut,
Sir, please present the calculation on the material mix calculation so that we can continue.
are you there, sir?
It's like the lecturer is not there. So please, how did we get the standard cost? I beg in that table that he was doing. I didn't get it.
The standard
Is
cost.
is
So the
that
standard cost is the question.
Who is speaking, please?
Check the standard cost. Is in the question listed online.
Hey, I'm not hearing you.
So
Come out,
the price
Elisa.
per kilogram, the price per
yes?
I think the tutor is not interested.
Hello.
Sir, I've gotten my answer.
Sir, please present
Is
the
is an
calculation.
is Auntie Ife that locked me out?
Auntie, but you love the lecturer out.
No. I
Sir,
love mood.
should I say my answer?
Okay, please, just 1 minute, please.
Okay.
I love period. Auntie Ife was calling Ife. Auntie Ife locked me out too. So, all right. So for coconut, actual quantity and standard mix is what?
so the actual quantity is 80,672.
672.
672. Please, I beg, voice control, please.
The variance will be what?
2,560 adverse.
2560. Adverse.
2560. Yes, that is the adverse.
That will give us 10,240. Adverse.
Hello, which one is 10,240? Please, oh.
The variance. The
Okay.
variance is 10,240.
Okay, the total, right?
Just
Share
just be
butter
mindful that
57,226.67.
the video is being recorded on YouTube. So always try to make your voice not too harsh when you're trying to maybe ask a question, so that the white men, the machine, will not think that we are fighting here.
Sir, please, the actual quantity at actual mix, please. I don't know how we got it.
Okay.
It's clearly in the question. What is the actual material you use? See them here, 34,080 for lye or coconut, It's what? So for share
So for
butter,
shea butter,
67,226.67.
67.
in the actual,
64,200.
200.
200.
Sir, please, I have a question. Good evening, sir.
10,750.
I I got
Favorable.
9,050 naira point zero one as the answer.
sorry, you got 9,000 what?
9,080 naira point zero one.
What point?
For the variance.
For coconuts?
Mm, yeah, for coconut.
9,000?
80 naira point zero one.
Okay, how did you arrive at that?
Sir,
I
please, I
did
have a question.
apportionment. I actually used apportionment, the formula I've been used to. So what I did was to add the kgs, which is 0.25 plus 0.26. I added
Oh,
all
you
the
did 0
kgs.
0.6 now.
Then I did 0.5 all over 1.35. So the addition of the 3 gave me 1.35. Multiplied by the total of the actual kg, which is 181,512. Then I arrived at 67,226.67. Then minus the actual production for coconut, which is 64,200 multiplied by the selling price of 2 naira.
I think that's
Okay.
share butter.
You are supposed to use 0.6 over 1.35.
9080.
Ma, you're speaking
0.
about share butter.
Oh, shea butter. Oh, sorry. It's coconut I did.
Using the class.
Sir, please, I have a question, please.
Make the calculation.
Sir, please, I have a
What,
The
question.
shea butter is favorable.
what is your question?
Sir, I don't understand the last part, the last variance analysis, that last one. I don't understand it at all. I
It's
don't even
just
know how did I get to it.
the multiplication of 10 by variance per kg. You know, this is kg. 466.67 is in kg. To get it in naira, 466.67 multiplied by 10, you have this 4666.70.
Okay. So 2,560 divided times 4, Abby, or divided by
Yes,
4.
multiply by 4.
Okay. All right. Thank you.
Good evening, sir.
So please, I have a question.
Uh-huh.
So
Hello?
please, I have a question.
Okay, I'll just take this question and move ahead. I told
All
you
right, sir.
I'm to conclude by 8, but you want to keep me here beyond 8. All right,
That's one
what is the
thing.
question? What is the question?
Okay. So this for this lie, 181,512. I don't know how we got that.
See it, ma.
It's the addition of the actual.
181,512. The total
Okay, thank
actual.
you, sir.
Hello, sir. Sorry. Hello, sir. Good evening, sir. Hello?
Good evening, oh.
Hello?
Good
Sorry,
evening, I
please.
can hear you.
Mine is not a question. Mine is just, I'm just reading if the question can be reposted on the WhatsApp group. Because somebody like me, I joined newly and I wasn't seeing the question on the screen this time, please.
Please, just send me a private chat. I'll send it to you.
Okay, sir. Okay, is it on the name of the person that shared the link?
Yes, ma'am.
Please, sir, can we continue? This is after 8 already. And you said you want to spend 1 hour with us, please.
So the when you look for the difference, the adverse against the favorable, you have what?
Hello, sir.
I'm with you.
Good evening, sir. So sorry. I was thinking if we could have the recorded class so that we can go over it again.
All our class are recorded. That is why you can see the YouTube link on the WhatsApp platform. It shows it's been recorded. Yes.
All right. Thank you, sir.
5,826.7 adverts.
So let's quickly move to, this is material mix variance. Let's quickly work on the yield variance. The yield variance. The yield variance, I'll just solve for one of the materials. You go and solve for the rest. I think that will be fine. Yield variance. So how do we go about yield variance? Somebody should help me. Yield variance. Try. You're the one writing this example.
You compare your standard quantity based on actual production. So the reverse that we did. I don't know why you don't like using reverse, but that's how I understand it better. To the reverse standard quantity.
Yeah, it's good. You know, in
Yeah.
my first explanation, I use revised. Yes, it's fine.
Okay.
Yes, I use revised, but in PM, just work based on how you can understand it. Yes, so she's very correct about the approach that it will be standard quantity of actual production. In most of the books, they will not define it like this, but to me, I've actually defined it based on my own understanding. So when you solve questions and solve again, and you link this to real life situation, you'll be able to interpret these formulas on your own and know how best you can solve using the interpretation you have in solving questions over and over again. So please, for this understanding to stick to you, you must solve questions. Solve like 10 questions on variance. So don't just solve one question or stick to this one we solve there and say, no variance. It doesn't work like that. It doesn't work like that. You must solve questions. You solve and solve again. And that is when you can make boast that, yes, I'm done with this topic. On every topic we've treated, you should solve 10 questions. So when you solve 10 questions on each of those topics, then you are ready for PM exams. But when you are not solving question, anytime you carry the question, you are sleeping. It will not be fine. So this will be, the yield variance will be standard quantity. Standard quantity of actual production. Standard quantity. In most books, they will not define it like that, but based for my own purpose, I'm defining it like this, of actual production at standard mix. At standard mix. So how do we determine that?
Maria, off your video.
So how do we determine that? Standard quantity of actual production at standard mix. Now, we have the standard quantities, right? we have the standard quantity. This is it, 0.25 for lye. For coconut, 0.6. For shea butter, 0.5. Isn't it?
Yes,
So
sir.
the standard quantity of lye, this is the actual. I said standard quantity of actual production. Standard quantity of actual production. Now, the actual production in batches is what? How many batches do we produce?
3 bags.
How many batches?
136.
136.
Okay, good. 136,000 batches. So, in relation to lye, what proportion of lye do we use in producing 136,000 batches in terms of standard? So we said standard quantity.
34,000.
So we
It's
said
not around
standard.
80 naira divided by 136,000.
Okay. Okay. Let me interpret that again. We said standard quantity of actual production. What is the actual production in this question?
136,000.
Good. Take note of that. Hold that in your hand. 136,000 is the actual production. So what is the standard mix of this 136,000? What is the standard?
1.3.
0.25 times
1.35.
1.58.
35.
This is it.
1.35.
136. Just for lye only, not the total now, not the total. Do you understand? Just for lye, it will be multiplied by 0.25 to give us what? 24,000. So the actual quantity at actual mix. Okay, actual quantity at standard mix. This will change to actual quantity at standard mix. At standard mix. So this will be what? We've solved for this before. Actual quantity at standard mix. This is it here. So the difference will be what? The difference will be what? Should be 386.67. And this should be favorable. Should be favorable.
Yes.
So the variance will now
So
be
the
what?
variance 3866.7.
3866.7. So this is favorable. So can you solve for coconuts?
Yes, sir. Let's try.
Please try.
130.
Hello, sir. Sorry, please, I have a question.
What is the
Hello.
question?
Okay, sorry. The first one, my network threw me out. Please, I don't understand how we got the variance per kg.
Is the difference between standard quantity of actual production at standard mix and actual quantity at standard mix. You know, they are in kg. So when you less standard and actual, your results in terms of kg to be kg, then we multiply by the cost, we get the cost value. And that is how we arrive at this. So this minus this minus this, we get this, multiplied by the cost, and we
Okay.
have the difference in value. So quickly solve for coconut and shea
Please,
butter.
how do
Yes,
you
sir.
get
Thank
the
you.
actual quantity as standard mix?
Hello, sir.
Yes.
Please, how did we arrive at the actual quantity standard mix of 333,613?
See it here, man. We've worked for that before. Let me pick it as a whole.
Those are for
Okay, thank
coconut.
you, sir.
For coconut, the standard quantity of actual production is it's 1,600.
I got
It's 1,600.
3,712.
It's 1,600. Then the actual is 80,672. 672. While for
It's not 80, it's 83,232. We have already solved the actual quantity as standard quantity before now. Okay, sorry, it's 80,672. Sorry.
shea butter is 68,000. Then the 67,226.667.
Yeah, I forgot to tell you, I ended the call. We don't have Maggie. Maybe one will go and buy
Joy,
it.
Joy, mute yourself now. Joy Williams.
So
This is one of the reasons why I don't like holding classes
What's cook with Maggie?
this is one of the reasons I don't like holding classes on Google Meet. The first time I attempted it, some people were using their pots to play music. So I I opted for voice notes on WhatsApp. Well, I know that is not good for PM, but since that is what most Nigerians understand. So when you keep making noise on this platform, it's not fun.
the total value for the variance in naira is 9898.69.
Sir, that 928 here, you don't put whether it is adverse or it is favorable than the rest.
February. So I said
So please,
0.6969, not 68. 69.
okay, this one,
Yes,
6-9.
69.
So please go over this question again. I know quite a number of us, this is looking like a mirage, like a magic. It's not magic. Go over it again. Read the English. Understand the English very well. And you'll be fine. So we still have 2 questions to go. But hopefully tomorrow, if I'm free, I'll come up again. I already stated that by March ending, I want to be free with this class. Then I'll be coming up once in a while to solve past questions. That is my target. So when you don't see me again as much, don't be disturbing Mr. Kabiru. Are we not having PM class today? I know what I'm doing. That is why I'm taking Sunday and Mondays for now. So because most of you will be chatting. Are we not having class
Sir,
today?
please let me see the picture of the did. I can't see it clearly.
I'll send the
The
slide to
first
you.
one you did, that's the simplest one, please.
He said the slide will be shared. It's just that everyone want to be talking.
All right. Thank you very much. I will forward this slide.
Thank you.
Now,
Thank you very much.
please do well to solve
Thank you
questions.
so much, sir. Thank
The
you.
more you solve questions,
Bless you.
the more you get better. Yes, please. The more you solve questions, the more you get better. So solve questions, share your challenge with me. Once I'm free, I will respond to it. So we all must pass PM this night, God's willing, and move forward. So it's we work
Amen.
like
Thank you, sir.
so thank you very much. Have a pleasant night.